Hey vlog, welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name is Maddie. I'm gonna be a senior at Miami University in the fall, and I just got back from a semester abroad, and I promised you guys a ton of content, answering your questions about my program and all that stuff. So today's gonna be a little Q&A. I put a question box on my story so that people could ask questions, and I got a ton of them, so I'm just gonna be going through and answering those today. Yeah, if you ever want to be a part of my Q&As in the future, you can always comment down below or follow me on Instagram for when I post those little question boxes. I'm standing today, feeling mobile. So I'm gonna first talk about what made me want to study abroad and the pros and cons of my program. So I think I always knew I wanted to study abroad, and I knew that Miami had this program when I accepted. So obviously I just had to figure out when I wanted to go, what worked best for my schedule and my degree, and spring of junior year is what I settled on. I think that going as a junior is personally better because I didn't have a full freshman year with COVID. So sophomore year kind of felt like I was still adjusting to campus and learning how to really do college. So junior year was perfect for me. For anyone else, I think that sophomore or junior year could be perfect. There was a lot of sophomores in my program. At Miami, we have this program called MUDEC, and they send 100 to 130 students to Luxembourg, which is in between Germany and France. It's a really small country, and they have a campus over there, so it's all Miami faculty, Miami students. It's basically going to school but in a different country. I specifically liked that because I wanted to feel comfortable and safe, know that I was still getting a good education. And also another pro is that Luxembourg is perfectly in the center of everything in Europe, so it was so easy to get to everywhere that I went, which I'll kind of talk about later. So I loved the location of Luxembourg itself. A con that I would say is the spring in Luxembourg is super duper dark and dreary. I am someone who really loves the sun, so that was really hard for me. Coming out of winter, I think that the United States gets a little pretty in spring, whereas Luxembourg, it was literally dark and dreary the whole time. That's just something that I didn't think about going in, and no one really told me. And I'm telling you that if you go in the spring, it's pretty much disgusting and you will never see the sun. But it's a great location. I liked that I was taking Miami classes and that the credits transferred really easily. And the alumni base is so amazing in MUDEC. There is so many people out there who went through this such a unique experience, and they love to give you jobs, talk to you, give you the time of day, all of that. So I love that there's a huge alumni base, as well as having 115 new friends. All those people that I became close with, that I was traveling with every weekend, that I was living with, they all get to come back to campus with me in the fall. So I think that's really cool. It kind of just depends on what you want, because I think that if you're studying abroad in somewhere like Florence, Barcelona, those are beautiful, beautiful places. But all the people that you're meeting are not going to be at your college campus in the fall. You're gonna have to make time out of your way to see them. So I don't know, it's kind of just depends on what you personally want. I got asked if it's possible to do it with only knowing English. 100% yes. My program specifically, since it's all Miami people, all Miami faculty, there was no language barrier. Luxembourg also is a unique country because it is so small, so they have a French side and a German side, and they also speak Luxembourgish, which is kind of a little bit of both. We had to learn, take one class about it, but we basically just spoke English the whole time. And then we were mostly on the French side. That's where I lived, that's where my school was. So I did learn very basic French phrases for when we would go get coffee or stuff like that. I also was in France a lot, so you pick up on things. All the kids in Luxembourg learn 5 languages before they get into high school, and one of them is English. So all of the kids will know English. Any other country we went to, when we didn't know their language, they were a little more non-accommodating. Next, I will talk about my house in Esch. Esch and like how I found my roommates. So the way that they do it, I know that they're changing it, but you can either live in host family or an apartment, and they only have like a limited amount of apartments. So I knew a girl from high school who was going, so I was like, hey, do you want to live in a host family? And she knew 2 other people that were going, so we all 4 girls ended up living in a host family in Esch. I got a question about what my favorite part about Esch is. One of the biggest cities besides Lux City. It wasn't even really a city, it's like a little town, but there was a lot to do, which I found really nice. The location was like okay. There were some people that were in Differdange, like right next to the chateau, and that could have been really nice, but it was a 20-minute bus to school, which I don't know. I don't really have anything bad to say about it. The town is cute, and a lot of people would go out in Esch, so we would always walk home from the bars and stuff. I guess like the nightlife would be my favorite part of Esch. I didn't really love my host family, to be fully honest. I didn't have the best experience, and like obviously not gonna go into that, but I had friends that literally loved their host family. Like life changed. I think that an apartment or a host family, either way, would be perfect. And I got 3 new besties. Shout out Kitty, Lydia, and Jenna. Next, I got a lot of questions about cost, because I did say that you could ask me about that. Kind of a weird subject, I think, but it's something that when I was going into it, like I really wanted to know how much people were spending. As far as like the program costs, it was almost equal to a semester at Miami, which I found really nice because I wasn't paying like all this extra money to go onto this program. Like literally the only extra thing that I had to pay for was flights, and then the tuition and housing, all that was the same as being abroad. And that is because that it is Miami's campus over there. So I guess that'd be another pro. Travel wise, it's kind of a different story. I feel like we would go somewhere every weekend, and you obviously do not have to do that. It's more up to preference. Our program also offered free trips like almost every weekend that you could choose to go on. Like they weren't as far, but they were like alumni sponsored trips, so you could easily go on those as well. I wrote down some like benchmark prices for specific things. In the early months, we were obviously booking more planes and more transportation, more hotels than the later months when we were just going to the places. So probably spent more in the earlier months, but I would say my average flight I would spend around 100 to 150 euro, and that's a round flight. Average rooming, I would say, was about 30 to 50 euro per night. We would usually go like Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, and then come back Sunday. 4 days, 3 nights. So you can add that up, but 30 to 50 euro a night. I think I want to do like an ultimate guide of like study abroad where I stayed and stuff, because there's a ton of amazing hostels and cheap places to stay that we took advantage of and found to be really cool. So average food, our host family gave us breakfast and the chateau would feed us lunch. So the only thing that I was really on my own for was dinner, but unfortunately I was on my own like every night of the week for dinner, and then when I would eat out on the weekends, it would be, you know, breakfast, lunch, and dinner that I would be paying for. And we would usually go to like 1 or 2 sit-down dinners when we were away. So I would say that I probably spent 100 to 150, maybe even more euros a week on food. And that's including all of that. But like I said, you do not have to travel every weekend. It just depends on what you want to get out of it. There is a lot of cheaper options, like you could train places instead of flying. And so I hope that benchmark kind of helped with cost and price and stuff. Speaking of cost, someone asked what my favorite thing I bought was. What was your favorite thing that you bought? That's just like a fun little question. I thrifted this sweater in Paris. I'm sure you guys have seen it, but that was definitely my favorite thing I bought. It was so cute and I love it, and it definitely weighed like 3 pounds in my bag on the way home. So culture shock moments. My first day of classes, I accidentally put my credit card number into like a scam website and we didn't have our SIM cards yet, so basically we couldn't call anyone. So I had to like find someone else's phone to call like the credit card company and get a whole new one. Couldn't use my credit card for a few trips, and that was like what? So that was probably my biggest culture shock moment. It is like more difficult to do things in Luxembourg just because of the public transportation. It is all free and like it's nice, but every time that you want to do something, you need to like find the bus, find when it leaves and what stop and all that, and like maybe even take like multiple buses. So It's just nice to like get my car here and go places. But I think that was like the most culture shock that I have. Maybe like a little bit of the language barrier. How many classes did you have a day? I took 15 credit hours, and that is what you have to take when you're over there. They make you take 15. So 15 credit hours would normally be 5 classes, but I only had 4, and then I took an internship. So the internship was like 3 credit hours. I would say that the internship was really good experience for me, but it was definitely a lot of work. Like, I thought that not having a class and having the internship would be like less work, but it definitely wasn't. So that kind of just depends on if you want that experience abroad, which I'm really glad that I did, but it definitely was a lot of work. So I normally have 2 classes a day, maybe 3 sometimes. I had 8 a.m.s almost every day, which if you go don't do that, I don't know what I was thinking. And then I always had Tuesday, Thursday at 1 to 2:30. So yeah, I would have like 2 classes a day, I think, on average. Who was your favorite person you met? I loved everyone that I met. I'm actually so happy with the people that we went there with, and I feel like at the end we were really starting to get closer. We all spent like the last weekend together in Luxembourg because we couldn't travel, so like I feel like that really brought us close, and then we had to leave, which is sad. I love the people I lived with. I love the people I traveled with so much, and they will be my friends forever. Going to different countries on the weekend, like London and Barcelona, did you train or fly? That's such a good question. We would always pick the cheapest option. So usually that was training, but for some reason, London specifically, it was flying. Like, it wasn't that far, but basically we would look up every option, how to get there, and pick the cheapest one. We also did fly to Barcelona. It is kind of far to fly to Barcelona, but you can't really train to London. I think you have to take the tube because it's underwater. I'm confused. We trained to Paris, we trained to Belgium, we trained to Amsterdam, we bused to Switzerland, and when we flew to Barcelona, that was our study tour, and then we bused all through France and then bused back. I would say that if you want to save money, we did not mind training. Honestly, I preferred it to flying because the airport is much further and harder to get to than the train station is. But obviously, like in the later months, we did fly everywhere because we were trying to go to like further places. Favorite and least favorite place? My favorite place was Barcelona. I don't know if it was because I took 5 years of Spanish and they speak Spanish. I also loved the food and I loved the nightlife, and just the people that we went with were so fun. I don't know, like it was just so fun. It was beautiful and I loved like the trip and the place itself. My least favorite place, I literally thought on this question for so long and I can't really think of one. I would say probably the study tour. Like, obviously we didn't choose to go there. Well, we chose to go there, but like Orange and Nîmes, like they're pretty, but were they the best places that we went? No. So I'd say that, but I don't know. That was really hard to come up with one. Kebab order. We would always get kebabs and I am having kebab withdrawal for sure. I would get like the vegetarian falafel wrap, get it with like all of the veggies, and they literally put like french fries in it and like this white sauce. Oh, it was so good. I miss kebab. I got a few questions about missing home, and on a scale of 1 to 10, how much did you miss home? Honestly, not that much. I'd say like a 3. If you want to study abroad and you're thinking like, oh, but then I won't have a semester on my campus at home, don't think that way, because I literally felt probably close to no FOMO when I was over there. Like, you are doing so many cooler things than like going to the same bar every weekend. And like, I did miss my friends a ton, but I knew that I would be coming back to them in the fall. So honestly, I had close to no FOMO from going abroad. I did miss like home. I missed my dog and just having like a big bed and a car, all that stuff. I think that is probably what I miss most. Oh, favorite and least favorite thing about coming home. Rosie, time with family, a huge bed, having my own room and space, having a kitchen to cook in. I missed cooking a lot. My least favorite thing, probably like just the fact that I have responsibilities now and I'm working a full-time job, so that's really good, but I don't know, I'm not traveling every weekend and it will never be like that again. So hard pill to swallow, but that's okay. We're working through it. But yeah, that is all the questions that I had. I am going to be making more of these similar videos, probably a packing one and then like an ultimate guide to study abroad, kind of giving you recommendations of like where I was or the places that I went and stayed and stuff. So let me know if you want to see either of those and hit the subscribe button so that you can know when I post them. Please like this video if you found it helpful, and yeah, I'll see you guys next Monday for another video. Bye.